This show is called Special Spaces. So when you're walking in the woods, or you're in a canoe, or you're out traveling, every once in a while you come across a space that just feels different to you. It calls to you. I mean, it's a space that kind of appeals to your visual sense, and that's what this whole show is about. Every one of these images is a special space that I keyed into for a particular moment, or sometimes a long moment. And sometimes I've gone back to these spaces to really look at them under different light, different times of the year. The images I've chosen kind of fall into two categories. I predominantly chose New England imagery, thinking it would be more appealing in a marketing sense for raising money for GCTV. But there's something about the Southwest, maybe it's the mystique because I don't live there, that really appeals to me. And I wanted to share those images as well. And these are, to me, images that I could sit and just gaze at for periods of time. Just like I could sit at those sites and just sit for a very tranquil amount of time. The thing about these images is there's, and this kind of goes against the rules of photography. These images don't have a true subject beyond the scene itself as a subject. Like generally when you take a picture of the countryside, there's a barn, or there's a cow, or a horse, or something that is your focal point. With these kind of images, I tried not to have a focal point. And if there is a focal point, I try to downplay that object or that subject by the composition of the piece. In other words, you can look at that image and find something in it that appeals to you that's not so much directed by the photographer, me. In a lot of these images, that's purposeful. And that's the way that I like to do landscape. I want you to look at that image as a being and take what you want out of that image. It's your own personal exploration or journey as to what appeals to you, and I want to provide the material for you to take that journey. Oh, why am I doing this show? That's a good question. First off, I'm doing the show because I'm retired. I retired in 2018 from Greenfield Community College. I was there for 42 years. And I decided to retire for two reasons. The first one was I really wanted to get back and do some of my art. I mean, that's kind of the thing that's been on hold for a long time for me. I like to paint. I like to do collage. I like to do 2D sculpture. And I like photography. And I wanted to kind of reconnect with some of my own work. The second reason is kind of the timing. I had been managing the lobby gallery space at GCTV for about 2 years, and I just couldn't line somebody up for this period of time. I have somebody coming in January, and I wanted to move this other show out that's been there a little longer than I wanted, and I figured, what the heck, I have enough material, I should do a show. And the third reason, and the biggest reason, is the recent Washington impacts of the FCC ruling that is going to undercut cable access PEG programming funding across the country in a devastating way. And really, that's probably the real impetus for me doing this show. I just cannot wrap my head around the funding losses that cable access is going to have. And I really have been a strong supporter of cable access in GCTV since its beginning. And I feel like this is a good way to raise some revenue and help raise some revenue for the station. And I think economically, time frame wise, doing a photo show is probably the best approach. I can put up images in GCTV's lobby and sell them with the profits going to GCTV and still recreate those images quick enough to keep the lobby filled. Photography gives me that ability. Painting, I could no way keep up with if I sold 5 of them or whatever. There's no way I could keep up with putting new imagery in as things were sold. And it's a fundraiser, so I really want to do something that can raise some funds for GCTV. This FCC ruling is going to have a detrimental effect to cable across the country, cable access stations, PEG access across the country. And starting to raise funds for the cable access and free speech is something I feel very, very committed to. I've been involved with GCTV since the beginning, as I said, and I think it's an important voice for the community. And that's really the stimulus for why I'm doing this show. Besides, the revenue part of the side of this, I hope people will enjoy the images and get a sense of what I enjoy. I mean, really, nature is changing in a negative way due to climate change. So I hope seeing some of these images will help people appreciate nature a little more, possibly help them respect nature a little more. Some of these places that these photographs are taken a beating. I mean, I will say in some of these photographs, my biggest problem was removing trash from the images. In almost every image, there's a hint of noise of mankind in them. No matter how far you get away now, you're hearing mankind's impact on nature. But I'm hoping to achieve with these is revitalize a stimulus in people to appreciate nature again. Because really, we've done some damage and we need to appreciate what's out there and start respecting it a little more. So I'm hoping these images will help people do that a little bit. But beyond the raising of funds, that's what I hope to achieve with doing this show.